Hi, I'm Karen. Welcome back. I'm here with Kelly. We are answering your grief questions as always. This is part 3 of 3 videos that are doing specifically on grief resources. So our first one talked a little bit about books, second one about podcasts and social media sites. This is going to be more specifically about websites that will probably have lots of different information. So again, these are lists that Kelly and I have compiled. Kelly is a really good resource person here, and has really taken some time to go through and pick things that we feel like that you can trust and that can also be beneficial. So Kelly, tell us about the websites that you've chosen here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we did a great job with, there's a couple of slides here we're going to go through, and there's some that are very specific to a specific type of loss, right? So overdose loss or suicide or sibling. So I think that's really beneficial, and then some are more broad and could be really for any type of grief. So obviously I added yours, Karen, first, Grief in Common. And for those of you that haven't checked out Karyn's site, I would encourage you to. She's got she does a lot. She has some classes you can, sign up for, some groups you can sign up for. She has some classes that you can, purchase and do on your own. She's got a ton of resources. She does a ton of blogging, way more than I do. And so a lot of good stuff on hers. Definitely check her out. I put mine on there for the Greater Life Grief counseling as well. Unfortunately, I am kind of more, my license prohibits from me from being able to work all over the country. So my resources may be better for people that are in New York, Florida, or South Carolina. So, but there's some really good ones on here. Center for Loss. We talked about Dr. Alan Wolfelt in our first video for his books. His website also has a lot of great resources, also has links to his many, many books. And so again, these are maybe more specific, like to homicide survivors and people who've experienced death by overdose or substance use.
Yeah, and I want to pause just for a second because Kelly, I know that you're doing more and more retreats, and those are open to a broader group of people too.
Yes.
Not to mention your Facebook page is for everybody,
Yes.
so definitely still tons of resources that make it, worth checking out for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think I did put my retreat website on here
Oh,
somewhere.
good. I'm like, don't sell yourself short, Kelly. You got plenty to offer.
And the Get Griefy magazine, that's something that you can purchase on Amazon or I believe on their website, but also it's downloadable. So that's really great. It's got some really great articles in it, and some exciting stuff. It's actually going to be in the bag at the Oscars at the end of March. So it's just pretty crazy and
That
awesome.
is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I do a lot of trainings for therapists to help them become more grief informed and school personnel. And we've also added in doing some retreats for grieving people. And so that's my website, iadcintensives.com. And those retreats are being held in Lake George, New York, which is beautiful, right on a lake. You have your own room. So check those out. Our March one is sold out, but our October one is open now. And the trainings are virtual or in person. So if you're like, oh, I can't make it to Lake George, you can do it virtually as well.
Yeah.
So
That's so
again,
cool.
these are some other ones that are more specific again to death of a child or cancer or ALS. And also, I was really glad Karyn added the suicide and crisis lifeline. And that's also, you can text 988 if you are experiencing a mental health emergency.
Yeah. And these are resources that I share with people a lot. I think every once in a while there are certain types of losses that really do require to be within the population of people who are also going through that loss. Not to say that there can't be benefits to going to more general grief support. There's benefits to be found, I think, anytime you're getting support.
Mhm.
But I have found in my groups, if someone has a loss to suicide, if someone has a loss to a child, those two probably especially, they feel like not everybody here gets what I'm talking about or what I'm going through. And so, I really do encourage people to, sure, still come to the general grief stuff, but maybe try and find it's like finding your people. You really do need to find your people in the midst of grief. As far as the suicide and crisis lifeline, that is something that I do. It's information I give out to people. I think sometimes the suicide, the crisis, that part of it scares people off a little bit. It's like, well, if I'm not suicidal, then it's not appropriate for me to call. but it's 24/7. It's talk, it's text, and it really is just someone on the other end of the phone to talk you through a tough time. So that's not, this requirement that you have to be at the absolute worst bottom point that you've been. If you're just struggling and there's nobody else available, maybe even you are getting support, but it's the middle of the night, or it's the weekend, or it's just in between your sessions or whatever it may be. This is a resource. And I've heard wonderful things about it. So I do encourage people to check that out.
And I just want to mention that you may join one of these pages or, go to their website and you might not agree with everything that they say. And that's okay.
Mm,
And if it's not a good fit for you, that's okay. Find something
yeah.
is aligns better with you. Because it's not, that's you have to find what works best for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's like any professional, your dentist, your hairdresser, whatever it may be. Sometimes it takes a little bit to you find, the right group, the right person, that you're comfortable with. And same goes with all of this stuff too.
Yeah. And so I added some resources on here if you have a grieving child for the National Alliance for Children's Grief and the Dougie Center. So, and also the Comfort Zone. So, those are great opportunities to find out maybe about grief groups in your community or online or grief camps for kids. Camps are amazing and so much
Mm,
fun. I'm a volunteer for grief camps and I love it. So, that's a great opportunity. I obviously put our YouTube channel on here because that is another resource. We have that. We are also on TikTok as well, so check us out on there. And then I work with a lot of women who have had a stillborn or an infant loss. So I added a couple of different
mm,
resources for there because that can also be something that is you want to find your people that understand it. A general
definitely.
grief group may not be the best fit for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And even a child loss group may not necessarily be the fit because those are still very different types of losses. So, yeah, yeah, I think that's great. Okay, well, Kelly, we appreciate all the time and everything that you put into this. And I think you had mentioned in the other video that you'd be having links that would be included. So this should be really easy for anybody to explore. And I think we're so fortunate to have as many resources as we do. I mean, you and I both been doing this for a long time. I mean, the amount of things that are available now compared to before, it's just unbelievable. But
Yep.
I think really fortunate because in some ways there is something for everyone. It's just a matter of finding it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, and like I said, I'll put it in all in a Google Doc so you can just click on the link and be able to access, and so you don't have to worry about jotting this down or rewatching it. But also consider sharing these videos with somebody that you may know that benefits, because there's a lot of grieving people out there, and we don't always know how best to help them. But this may be able to say, "Hey, I have this resource guide. It may be helpful for you to check out."
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and remember to subscribe. I don't think I've been saying that. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and then you stay up to date with everything that we have. And as Kelly said, share it, with people. A lot of people, like, we know there's a lot of resources out there, but I don't know people always understand or know that that's there, and it's if you're not looking for it, if you don't need it until you do, it's like, sometimes may seem hard to find, but they're there for sure. So Kelly, thank you again for putting this list together and for sharing it with everybody.